today's crash course in theoretical application as it applies to human development and family function.
Wait, so this isn't an applied financial economics?
No.
But we can make it about economics. We're going to be going over how theories develop, who developed certain theories that we'll be discussing today. Such theories including the bioecological systems theory, as well as the social exchange theory. As we discuss this, we're going to be talking about how these theories came to be, the key tenets and principles that really make up these theories and set them apart from each other. And then we'll be kind of taking a look at how they're similar and different, and we're going to have a fun interactive section. And then we'll wrap things up and you'll be free to go to economics. Sounds good?
Okay, so I get the exchange thing, money and all. The bio, I'm kind of losing you on the whole bioecological thing.
So the bioecological systems theory was something that a man named Yuri Braunenpfeffer came up with in 1977 in the historical and cultural context of post-civil rights USA. And essentially, during this time, social movements had just occurred, which expanded perceptions across the United States, really, of a multitude of factors which are relevant across diverse populations. So, essentially, it just expanded people's perceptions of what factors really go into making a person a person. So, in this theory, theorists consider interconnected systems which help one develop in their environment, and in these systems they interact and create the worldview of each individual. So these different systems include the individual, the macro system, the mesosystem, the ecosystem, and the macro system. Along with this idea is the process, person, context, and time model, which proposes that an individual develops traits and characteristics which interact with the person's context, which are the different systems as suggested above. And over the lifespan, aka time, these interacting forms and contextualizes one's development.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, but could you do a doodly doodle to visualize that? Econ, we draw graphs a lot, so it'd be really easier if you just drew it,
So yeah, let's start with the individual level. So in this level, it essentially makes you you. So think about your genetics and your thoughts, things like that. And then we go to the microsystem. And that's the next level up. And so that microsystem consists of things that are in your direct vicinity that influence your behavior, things you do day to day. So that includes where you go to school, your brothers and sisters, your friends, things like that. And so then we go up to the mesosystem. It comprises an intersection of the microsystems working together. So that's the intersection of your school versus your family life, how those things shape who you are. Sometimes there's conflicts, what your friends tell you versus what your family tells you. So that can comprise of who you are. And then the next system up is the exosystem. Essentially what influences you, but indirectly. So you can think of the best example, your parents' workplace. That shapes your parents, and your parents shape you. So in essence, that helps you develop as a person. So the next system is the macro system. Now the macro system is the culture you're in, everything you experience, but so indirectly that you're not really conscious of it day to day, but it still largely impacts who you are, politics, religion, greater cultural influences.
Okay. Did you get any of that?
Alright, so moving on to the social exchange theory characteristics. This theory was published by George Homans primarily, in 1958. He came up with this theory in the historical and cultural context of much of this psychology studies and knowledge coming out at that time. So, based on B.F. Skinner's behavioral theory of operant conditioning, he came up with this kind of logical idea of how social interactions would work based on people's behavior. So, in conception, this is an economic theory. It's based on the kind of financial economic idea of money buying something that we find valuable and costs outweighing the benefits of certain financial decisions. So in the same way, we engage in social interactions and form relationships based on one's own perception of the potential rewards and costs of such a relationship. So benefits are like materials or non-material. So it can be financial benefit or non-material benefits like love, prestige, reputation. And of course, costs can be much more complex in a sense because they can encompass a lot of things about what is behind the surface. Costs can be anything like taking up a lot of time, emotionally draining relationships, anything like abusive relationships. Those are all costs to certain interactions or relationships of any sort, really. So the goal here in this theory is to maximize rewards and minimize costs. So in the end, you want to be profitable in the relationships.
So it's like you guys talk about social exchange, like the balancing the pros and cons of a relationship and the potential benefit, where like in economics we talk about balancing the pros and cons of multiple goods for someone who has finite resources to spend on those two goods, and they have to figure out how to best allocate those resources to maximize the utility or the benefit they get from those two goods. Or like in labor theory, where someone has to weigh the pros and cons if they're going to work an extra hour or if they're going to take an hour of leisure, and whether or not that extra X amount of dollars that they work is worth less or more than an hour of their free time.
Great. So now let's put these theories to good use. Let's see how we can apply these theories in real life and see if you're grasping the concepts.
All right, so let's start with the bioecological systems theory. For this application, I want you to take these 5 notions and fit them into the system. Alright, so do you want to go ahead and explain the mesosystem and how you work that out?
Yeah, so like you explained it as the interaction between microsystems, right? So I was like, well, school, that was one of the examples you gave us for microsystem, right? That's your like little interactive bubble. So I put that there, microsystem. And then siblings, that's another microsystem, but at home, that's the household you talked about. So I put that in microsystems. And then how you interact with school and siblings, you put them together and you get a mesosystem. So I did a little doodle across.
All right, so that was great. And now we're going to move on to applying the social exchange theory. In this example, I want you to have a social interaction and evaluate whether or not there's more cost or benefits, and decide to walk away or engage in the interaction.
All right. Hi, how you doing? Excuse me, sorry, I'm just gonna borrow this. Hi, how you doing? We're having pretty good weather out. It's like mid-autumn. It's really getting like nice in the 60s. We're sweater weather. Yeah. What's your name? Yeah, that's cool. You're a little soft-jawed. I get it. I'm just gonna walk away from this. I don't really think anything's happening here. All right, you take care.
And that was great. So from my experience, you could see that conversation was costing you way more than you were getting out of it. And in the end, since the benefits didn't outweigh the cost, you decided to walk away.
So, distinguishing similarities and differences between these two contrasting theories is a very interesting task when you look into it, because they're essentially different schools of thoughts, different philosophies, and they look at the human experience through a completely different lens with different reasoning and logic. But from this, as they're both theories concerning a similar notion, we can look at some similarities because, for example, we can look at how they both distinguish the nature of being and the nature of existing in a society. And then additionally, both theories analyze how humans interact with others as a result of certain processes, as the bioecological systems theories considers it more in a broader context, while the social exchange theory looks at more isolated events and interactions, as humans are considered to be rational beings who have chosen in or out of such relationships. Additionally, in a sense, both are lifespan perspectives. They look at how people change throughout time, through different scenarios, and people can consider different costs and benefits in the social exchange theory as they go through time, while in the bioecological systems theory, people's context is constantly changing, and thus it's a lifespan perspective.
From this, I want you to take away that there are a lot of different ways to think about how we interact with others, how we interact with our surroundings, and almost more importantly, how those larger contexts interact with us and help us grow and form as we develop through the lifespan.
Yeah. Anyways, do you know where the Advanced Financial Economics seminar is?